Dr. Jazz.
Thanks so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. I've been a fan
Finally,
of your music.
finally, I succeeded. You know.
Oh, but grazie. I mean, I will just jump in. You know, I've listened to your music for more than 30 years now. I saw you in Maribor, in my hometown, where you played here in 1995, I think it was,
Yeah.
on a festival. And you're still incredibly active. And I want to start this talk with asking you about your duo with Fred Hirsch. And how did this story with Fred begin? I was quite surprised to see you two together. And then I listened to the record, and it sounds amazing. Like, how did you guys meet?
Well, I think the idea was my agent or Fred, European agent,
Really?
Rob Leventrop, no, from Belgium.
Yeah.
Maybe all the two of them together. They asked me, I say, yeah, I knew his music. I never met him before, but I knew his music. I loved him. So when I say yes, he say yes. We met in Pescara. It was the first concert we did in the festival. And we met the day before. We were supposed to make a rehearsal, you know, to check what to put together. But we made a mistake. So we got to the place to rehearse the wrong time. So we had only 15 minutes just to talk about the tunes. So the real rehearsal was the concert.
Wow.
The concert was the rehearsal, and I loved it. I loved from the very first note I played because he's so reactive. He listens so much, and me too. I listen a lot, so immediately it was like a conversation. So we loved it, and then we had other more concerts, of course, but then they invited also for the year later again, blah, blah, blah. Except that in the middle of one of those tours, I felt sick. I found that I had a lung cancer, you know. So I had to get the operation, surgery. Everything was cool because it was small. I didn't have to make any cameo, but still I had to stop for about 3 months. I couldn't touch my instrument because even after the operation, you know, there was I couldn't, you know, it was dangerous to play. So, but anyway, 3 months after the operation, anyway, we were supposed to record from ACM, and it was very difficult to postpone, no? So I said, okay, let's try to do it. So I went there to Lugano to record. I made 1 week at home, you know, trying to get it back. And then again there, already sure there was going impossible, you know. I say maybe after 2 notes, I say, okay, sorry. And instead, the auditorium in that Swiss radio is so good, and one of the best Steinway in Europe is there. It's fantastic, and there is the fantastic acoustic. So as soon as I play 1 note, it sounded so good. I said, okay. In fact, Fred told me, you got back. Fred told me, you are back here. Yeah. And we played. Everything was first take, no problem. We loved to play that day. We had a very good feeling. Manfred Eicher was very happy too. So everything was very positive. So, okay, that's the story of the record.
Interesting. This after story, I think when I listen to the record, it sounds so fragile, if you know what I mean. Like it's really. It has something, and now with this, what you said, it kind of makes sense. Actually, when I listen, you know, I'm getting sentimental over you, and around midnight when you play, it has this fragile, gentle touch of it.
You see, like when we play Getting Sentimental, as soon as I started to play, I thought it would be nice to play respecting the form, but not respecting really the chords, not thinking about the chords and going. And I think it came out a very original version of I'm Getting Sentimental for You. And also, there is one tune I really love, which is the number 2, the improvisation. Because I just start playing, 2, 3 notes, and it came, then I react, and when I listen to it, it sounds like a tune, that somebody, but no, it was really, I just started, and it came, because with Fred, this is what I found that out from the very first concert. It's so, when you start laying down a chord or something, for me, it's like a flying carpet. I just can jump on this fucking flying carpet, and then we go wherever it goes, And, it's a lot of fun. In fact, since then, we made a lot of concerts. We have much more concerts to do. We are going to,
Fantastic.
We're going to be in September. We are going to Amsterdam, to Hamburg, Antwerp.
Wow, okay.
Even if I don't feel to make all these long trips by airplane, because I'm 84,
You've done a lot, yeah.
It's too much. You get me really tired, but I like it so much that maybe it pays off to do all that effort for those beautiful moments that sometimes we get on stage,
Yeah, it's funny that, like, I mean, that, of course, way better than I do, but like sometimes you travel for 7, 8 hours, trains, planes, and then just for those 2 hours on the stage, and it's all worth it, right? It's in the end, it's
yeah, because I mean, when you play, not always is so marvelous. Sometimes it's just notes. Sometimes it's just cliches, some routine. But sometimes, in my case lately, especially with Fred, very often there is certain moment in which it's so beautiful because I receive everything I need and I give everything he needs. Or even with my new band, we just played in San Sebastian. And
I saw the footage. Amazing. The drummer, the girl. Wow.
Yeah,
how old is she?
And there's sometimes really everybody gives what the other needs, and there is some fantastic like democracy of stage, of telepathic, something that in the real life will never happen. The democracy like that, unfortunately, it doesn't exist. But on stage, so for me, those moments on stage, it pays off for the whole, airport, waiting line, then get, and so, I mean, it is, especially now, I don't know if my idea, but after the COVID, everything got worse.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Everything is worse. Traveling is worse. The restaurants are not as good as before. Everything is, I don't know.
No, it's true. Yeah. The traveling is definitely more strict and worse than it was. Yeah. It's not fun traveling, especially airports. Especially, it's terrible. It's really not fun. If you compare, you've been doing this for more than 60 years now. If you compare touring now to 60 years, I mean, obviously, back then, we still had borders in Europe, lira, francs, and everything. How do you see it? I mean,
Well, you know, the situation is so different today than 60 years ago.
Yeah.
Because, for instance, airfare were so much more expensive, much more. In fact, for instance, to go to the States, the cheapest way was to go from Luxembourg.
Wow, really?
From Luxembourg with Icelandic Airways, which was a very narrow airplane and was very, very cheap. And he stopped on Reykjavik and wow. For instance, Don Cherry and all those, that Don Cherry, Gatto, Barbieri, all these kind of musicians, the kind of music, they were going to New York all the time with Icelandic.
Really?
The problem that you had to get to Luxembourg from where you were, that was not so easy. But Don, for instance, he was a very specialist because he organized always a concert in Reykjavik. So they stopped in Reykjavik, play a concert, they would get to New York, and the whole trip was for free because they got paid. Because at the time, except for the real star, but I'm talking the real star, no, Oscar Peterson, Louis Armstrong, that kind of thing. But all those new musicians, like these years, like in the 60s, like could be Sam Rivers, Gatto,
Braxton or whoever.
Lester Bowie. All this, it was completely different. It was like, you know, traveling by car in the snow, you know, five in a small car with a bass going to. I remember that when I joined Steve Lacy, when I become the fourth guy in this band, they were a trio with Steve, Ken Carter, and Aldo Romano. And when I met them, they were coming from Copenhagen with the Aldo car. There was a small, what was his name? Not the Chevaux, the small.
The French one.
No, was Lidia. Come si chiamava la macchina, quella quella per i finestrini così, quella macchina francese?
Sì, la 2 cavalli, la Renault 4.
La R4,
Renault.
Sì. La Renault R4.
Renault 4, sì.
Renault 4, open the window, you have to, you know. They were Aldo, Jeff, Steve Lacy, the bass and the drums in the R4 from Copenhagen to Rome to make a record in winter. And at that time, it was snowing a lot. Now it doesn't snow anymore. But at that time, in the 60s, it was really snowing, you know. So they were, but we were used to do that. I would go to Antibes with my Fiat 600. We were in three plus a bass. Of course, it didn't fit. So to make it fit, the thing was out of the car, the window, and the thing out was. That was the heroic hero time, you know. But it was for everybody, even Kijar. Everybody was not like today is a heaven by comparison. It's not even compare, you know. In Italy, there was only 3 musicians that were being jazz musicians, play only jazz, because then we had some very good musicians, but they were normal professional. Maybe they play in the radio orchestra or with the singers in the nightclub, and then they got some space to play their music. But then there were three musicians that play only jazz. One was me, Franco D'Andrea, the piano player, beautiful, incredible.
Yeah, I love Franco,
And a very good trumpet player, much older than me, his name was Nunzio Rotondo. At the time, he was very famous in Italy, famous for jazz fans, you know. But he played at the Paris Festival in 1949 when Miles was there, Charlie Parnell, and he had a very good success. Although the audience, when the Italian guy, Nunzio Rotondo, come on stage, all the French audience said, boo, boo, oh, go back to the fucking Italy, because we are just 4 years after the war,
Of course, yeah.
So they hated us, so much. And then Nunzio started playing, and he had a fantastic success, standing ovations. And Nunzio, I like him a lot. He even influenced me, kind of, because he had one of the best sound I ever heard on trumpet. He was much Miles kind of trumpet player. And since Me Too, for me, Miles is the top of everybody. My favorite musician, not only trumpet player, I think. I think that his solo in Stella.
Oh yeah.
Is one of the highest moment of music of 1900. Not of jazz, of music, of art. One of the highest. So Miles. And Nunzio was a little bit Miles kind of. So the three of us. So now there is thousands of musicians in Italy play only jazz.
Yeah.
They don't get rich, many of them. No. But some of them have a good life and anyway survive, and maybe it's a totally different situation. There is concert everywhere. Every little town have a series of concerts, a festival, shit. At the time was I grew up in Torino, At the time in Torino, every year there was one concert, big. That was but one, So I saw one when I was younger. When I was 13, I saw Louis Armstrong.
Oh wow!
Then I saw Duke Ellington, then Count Basie, then Jerry Mulligan Sextet.
Wow.
And of course, in 1956, Miles came.
Oh wow! Okay.
With Lester Young. It was the most amazing concert I ever. Miles with Lester Young playing with the Modern Jazz Quartet.
Wow! Oh man!
So I was 17. I didn't play trumpet at the time. I didn't even think about. But I was a jazz fan. I had every Miles record, but I didn't expect every Chet Baker record too. But I didn't expect to be such a strong. The live thing was so incredible that about 1 week later I bought a trumpet and I learned more or less play. That's why it changed my life, that concert. But anyway, there was one concert a year, maybe two. Now it's And Italian musicians, they would play maybe in some some small room, blah blah blah. Now we play big theater. I mean, the situation is so million times better and easier. Of course, the music is not as good as then because there is nobody can play today like Armstrong or Bix or
all these guys,
Billie Holiday or Dizzy. No, today, no. The scene, everybody is fantastic today. I think the level in America, also here, so high, technically, theoretically, but the music is very far away from what it was with those people that invented that. So this is the truth,
Yeah, no, it's true what you say. But I spoke. I don't know who I spoke the other day with. But, if you put nowadays on, Miles record or Coltrane record from the 50s or Wayne Shorter or whoever, it still sounds amazing. And if you put on a record from the 80s or 90s from someone, it is good, but it's at least for me something is missing. That what you're saying.
Yeah, even now, because what is missing is that these people, Armstrong etc., etc. Dexter, when they were playing, they were inventing this music that didn't exist. They were playing something that didn't existed before, and people was listening to something that they didn't hear before. You know, and for me, the last real change of the language, you know, it was Ornel Coleman at the end of 59, 60. And from them on, whatever I heard, I heard some beautiful stuff, but even, you know, they put together some rock, you know, like jazz rock, fusion. Then you put maybe some ethnic music in Europe particular, you know, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but the language still that one, you know. There's absolutely no real new thing, you know. We kind of metabolized the whole story, you know, from New Orleans to the free jazz, and then, but nobody is invented anything new. Not even, you know, not even the top musician. I don't know who, like, now, of course, there is some trumpet player I like a lot, but like I love Abishai Cohen, trumpet player, by the way, he's a very, very good friend of mine, but also Ambrose, he was here. Still, although I love them, that thing was something else. The last one that still have that thing is Tom Harrell to me.
Yeah, he's
the last one, you know. Still, he's a little bit younger than the you know, younger than my son, but it's in between, you know. He still have that that thing, you know. That
something.
I don't know how to describe that.
No, I agree. Yeah, it's fun, interesting. You said that. Enrico, I wanted to ask you. You mentioned Steve Lacy, and I love those records that you did. And you know, as Steve is up there, like, how did you connect with Steve? That those guys came from Denmark. Like, how did you hook up with Steve? How did he find out about you?
Because a year before, I was playing with Gatto Barbieri. Band. Gatto moved to Italy from Argentina. It was totally unknown, but it was already incredible. So I was so lucky that he liked me. I was really a beginner, like amateur, but he liked me a lot. So he got me in his band, and we played 9 months in the same club in Rome every night.
Wow.
So with Franco D'Andrea, for me was to go to the university, you know, and then through Gatto I met Steve Lacy.
Okay.
And Steve liked me, so we always thought, we should do something together, blah blah blah. When he came to Rome to record with the trio, he said, "Okay, why don't we try?" He said, "Why don't we try to play together, you know?" And from the very first day, the trio became a quartet. Then Aldo and Kent. Aldo quit because he was playing with Don Cherry, with the beautiful band with Gatto Barbieri, Danny Clark, Carl Berger. And Kent had to go back to the States. So Steve and me, we went to London.
That's how you with Louis. Okay.
We knew about those two South Africans, Johnny Diani and with Mo. And they were there with Chris McGregor. So we went to London. Steve called and we started playing. We were playing every day in the basement. And there was a new band, and it was great. And we went to Argentina, then we went to and then I went to New York with Steve.
When was that for the first time? It
was 67.
Already? Wow, okay.
66 in Argentina. Then Luis and Johnny went back to London because McGregor sent them the ticket. And Steve and me, we went to New York. And the band changed. It was with Paul Motian, Carl Berger, Ken Carter, me. That was a quintet. But then I had because Steve was very respected in that area, no. So through Steve, I met everybody: Roswell, Cecil Taylor. So I become. So Roswell called me in his band. So I was playing with his quintet. It was very, very a lot of fun because Roswell was a genius.
He's amazing. Yeah.
And the band was a lot of fun. Sometimes there was Lee Konitz also playing with us, and it was Beaver Harris and it was Worrell. But sometimes was a couple of times Charlie Hayden came.
Oh.
Then what else? Then with Jazz Composer Orchestra. So I was playing with them always, you know.
Yeah.
And then I start feeling that I need to go after all this free playing. I need to. I felt again the need to, you know, play some
Tunes
melody,
and melodies.
some tempo, some, you know. So I started a band myself, and in New York, I was at the beginning was with a very good guitar player called Bruce Johnson that used to play with Gil Evans.
Okay.
Then at the bass, I had Michael Moore, who was a beautiful bass player.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
And on drums, who was that? Well, Jimmy Madison, who was the
really?
drummer,
okay.
Drummer of I don't remember. Then, for a moment, I had Nana Vasconcelos also in the band. And we play sometime. We played the Vanguard once.
You were living in New York then?
Yeah. I lived in New York from 67 to 77.
Okay. Okay, so long. Okay, wow.
Yeah, because after about a year, I got the green card, you know, so I could.
Yeah.
After 5 years, I could have had the American passport, but I didn't want it because at that time, to get the American citizenship, you had to renounce to your.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't want to renounce also because at the time, the American musician, when they played in Europe, like in France, particularly, they have to ask for a lot of visa and shit, you know. So I was coming in tour in Europe, traveling all the time, and also I didn't want to give up my nationality, so I never just keep the green card for 10 years. It was anyway, more or less. But then the group changed, and with John Abercrombie.
Yeah, how did you meet? I mean, I have to tell you, like those records, Pilgrim and the Stars and the Plot, those are two of my favorite records, like ever. Really, I love that band, and I mean, I'm a guitarist, so I love John Abercrombie, and how you guys connected. Like, how did you meet John, and like when did you play the first time together, and especially the quartet with Palle and Jon? How did that all that happen?
John at the time was unknown. We knew, you know, there is this beautiful guitar player. What's his name? John Abercrombie. What? But you know, and so when I had to come to make a tour in Italy with my quartet, I called John Abercrombie, and Bruce Johnson was the guitar player.
Yeah.
He moved to bass. He played electric bass, and I had a beautiful drummer whose name was Chip White. He was the good looking of the band, you know. He was a girl, and so we did this tour. We made a record for BASF, you know, the German And the record was called Cacciarpari Rava. Cacciarpari is the title of an American Indian from the South America song, you know. And the record went really well. Like in London, we had some beautiful review. In Germany, it was the record of a month or something like that. So Manfred Eiche called me in New York.
Ah, so he called you, okay.
He heard the record, he was very interested, he called me. Then we met in New York, talk about, beautiful. I was very happy, you know. Anyway, it was the beginning of ECM.
ECM, yeah.
And so we decided to do the record with John, and he suggested Palle and Yoon. And I was very happy because I knew them from the record, The Belonging, you know?
Sure.
Which is a fantastic record. And they play. And I love Jon because he sounded a little bit like one of my favorites was Paul Motian. He was also a great friend of mine. So John and Palle was incredible. So we met in the studio in Ludwig.
Oh, really? Okay, wow.
Then we had a tour, but before the tour, we met in the studio. And from the very first moment, we felt really good all together. It was nice. The music was nice, but also was nice the feeling. You know, they were very nice people to be with. So then from that, we played a kind of pretty long tour in Germany and maybe in Scandinavia, maybe. And so that's the way. But John, when I met John, he was really at the beginning that he started him, you know. But immediately after that, he made a record with Jack DeJohnette.
Gateway,
Gateway.
Yeah. That's incredible. Yeah, that's such a record. Yeah. But I love how you and you know, I love John because of how he accompanies as a guitar player.
Yeah.
He leaves so much space, you know, when you play and like he listens to you. I love that, how you really
but that's why
connected so well together.
Even just before John, I got, excuse me, I really got into playing with a guitar player because I was really tired of piano players because tendentially, you know, when they play a chord, you know, with 10 fingers, they occupy the whole fucking space, you know, they cut all the frequencies, the sound of the trumpet becomes more. Now, of course, they are not all like that. There is some piano player, like the way Bill Evans' comp is amazing, you know. At the time, I was playing in New York with a lot of piano players. We play a little bit like Lonnie Smith, you know. They all. You are there. What am I going to play? So with the guitar, it was so much easier, you know, so much space. And in fact, then in my life, I play a lot with guitar players, including some very great, including Palmatini, for instance.
Really? I did not.
Yes,
Wow.
I did some concert as a guest of my band.
Like in the 70s or?
In Italy.
Wow. Really?
Then we played a concert in duo.
Wow.
And then I was guest of this trio with Scott Colley and Antonio Sanchez.
Oh, really? Oh, shit.
In Montreal, the festival in Montreal. Plus Michelle Giocello. Do you remember Michelle?
Michelle and yeah, sure. Amazing. Yeah.
Incredible. She's tough. She's very tough. But she's beautiful. And we did the thing in Montreal. Then I played with we played with John Scofield. I love to play with, and then of course with Italian guitar players.
Yeah.
Like the one I'm playing with, Francesco.
Francesco. He's my friend. Yeah, he's my friend. I love Francesco. Yeah. And, Bebo before, no? Played with you.
Before in the late 80s, I was playing with one other who was very good, Augusto Mancinelli. Was very, very.
Oh yeah. I love Augusto.
But he died, Augusto. Then I had a time where I had a band called Electric Five. I have two guitars, and one of the band my favorite band. I loved that band. In fact, it lasted a lot, and they were both very good. Cecchetto is fantastic, Domenico Caliri. So I played. Well, then finally I met this young piano player. He was 22, totally unknown. Was playing with singers, with pop singers. His name was Stefano Bollani.
Stefano. Okay. And how did you discover Stefano? When did you? How did you find out Stefano?
Because there was this festival in Prato near Firenze, and the one who organized the festival was a drummer too. And he called me and said, "Listen, I'm playing in my festival with a trio with a very, very good piano player that I'm sure you are going to like. Would you be a guest of the trio?" And I have nothing to do. I said, "Okay, I come." So I went to that festival. And from the sound check, after 3 notes, I said, "Okay, this is the guy I was waiting for." In fact, well, 1 month later, I had to play in Paris with Aldo, and I think Michel Benita. And I say, "Listen, let me try if I can get this piano player because you love it." So I call Stefano. He say, the fact is next week I should go on tour with the Giovanotti, who is the Italian. Giovanotti. Say, "Listen, if you really need money, okay, but if you like it, okay, but none of these reasons." Think about it. First of all, the way you play, in a short time, you're going to make a lot of more money than being employee of all these singers. Beside that, you are going to really, in fact, after 15 minutes, he called me. Said, "Okay, I'm coming to Paris." I came to Paris, and from then, we played so much everywhere, from Brazil to India, I don't know, everywhere. China, New York, San Francisco, everywhere, tour all over. We made a lot of records. And then he became, because besides being an amazing piano player, he also is a good imitator, I can.
He's a
funny guy, so he wasn't enough for him to be a jazz piano player. He needed to be a popular, In fact, now he have a program in TV, etc., etc. So anyway, eventually we play less and less, and it became very popular. Not very popular in that area, the TV, but he's not really playing anymore like jazz. He made some classical concerts. Playing with the orchestra, the symphonic orchestra. But sometimes we play something in duo. I play in his program in TV. We play together. We're still very good friends. I think. I mean, it's good for him. He's making good money, etc. I think he could have become really one of the top in the world. Because if you
he's really good.
You knew him. You knew how it's unbelievable. Besides that, he's one of the most talented person I ever met. I mean, they just listened once to the most complicated tune he can play. Yes, fantasy, imagination, technique. But that wasn't enough for him. He needs something else. So, but it's a pity.
Yeah.
I think it's really a pity.
Yeah. Like, how do you discover all these? You know, you have a nose for the talent, like, you know, Bolani and Gianluca Petrella, Giovanni Guidi, Francesco Diodati. How do you discover all these young names? Like,
but because I need to play with people that more or less share with me same vision, you know, the same idea of music, how to play in a band, you know. For the listen. For me, the main thing is people listening. If they don't listen, they could be the most amazing musician if he doesn't listen to play with me. So also I have because I've been in Siena, there is a
workshop, yeah.
Yes, Siena Jazz since 1985 maybe. And from the very beginning, every summer I go there and I do ensemble music. I make groups and I play with them. And eventually the selection, I don't do the selection, but the people they organize the festival, the workshop, they make a selection for musicians that should come in my band. And they are very, very tough, you know. That's why I get the best of the best. They can, you know. So I meet them in my room, you know. So the last years I do only one group every summer for 3 days. And like the girl that played drums, she had been in my workshop. Okay. Francesco Diodati too, many years ago. But Evita, the drummer, been there 3 years ago. Now the trombone player that played with me, I had it in my workshop last year. Oh. Since I had a concert about 3 days after with my quartet, I told him, if you are free, come to play. So he came, and there was a new band.
Also, you're continuing the tradition of Miles and all these guys. You always, basically, right? Finding new young people and inviting them to your band, and that's so important. Yeah.
So for me, it's a big luck to have this Siena thing because it's the only way. Because Italy, I mean, if you live in France, stay in Paris, and everybody is coming. All the French musicians are going to play in Paris. But in Italy, it's not like that because Italy is long. There is so many centers. Like there is amazing people in Sicily that will never be heard in Milano, for instance. There is every city in Italy have its own, you know, scene. There is a scene for. Yeah. So it's very difficult for I don't know. There is I just met in Padova a very, very good guitar player. I don't remember his name. He played very often in Slovenia, I think, or maybe in Serbia. Anyway, it's a very good. I never heard of him, but in that area, the Padova area, is like a king. Nobody know nobody know out of that. And in Italy, it's plenty of things like that. Because it's very difficult, in fact, for a young musician, because unless you make like Goethe, you know, the Grand Tour, you know, of Italy going to listen, you never listen to them. And there is some very amazing people, like maybe 12 years ago, I was playing in a festival in Sicily. And after that, there was a jam session on the square. And I was going to the hotel and listening to that. So, wow. And there was trumpet alto player playing pretty well, not very well, pretty well. I said, okay, let's check. So it were two boys, 11-year-old.
Wow.
11. I met them 3 years after, also in Sicily. They were just playing already, but not to believe. They were 13, like, wow. And then when they were 17, I made them win this prize. It's called to Massimo Urbani Prize in Camerino. But, and then they went to Berkeley, and now they are back. But I mean, they were lucky because I listened to them. Di Battista, this incredible.
Yeah, sure, Stefano. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, not too many people that can play that. Anyway, he got really in love for them, so he's pushing them a little bit. But if you don't find somebody like me or
to carry you and help you,
Stefano, to help you. You stay all your life in Sonny Rollins. You stay all your life in your little town in Calabria. Nobody knows.
Yeah, but it's always been like that, right? I mean, even in New York, like if if Miles or Art Blakey or whoever didn't invite you to his band, there are so many great players out there we don't know because they play still there. They didn't get a chance.
New York, eventually everybody. In fact, if you think all these great masters, nobody from New York, like Miles was from St. Louis.
Yeah.
Clifford Brown was from remember where, the other one from Philadelphia, from some small town. Paul Motian, I know almost nobody from New York, but everybody go to New York. So eventually, if you stay in New York, you meet all of them. If you go around, like in France, eventually everybody. You stay in Paris 2 months, you meet everybody because even if they come from Lyon, Grenoble, eventually, or London, but in Italy, no, because there is not one city which is the real center. Not Rome, nor Milano. We don't have a real the city that you say, okay, let's go everybody to the city. So no, it doesn't exist. So it's very complicated for a young musician.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Enrico, I wanted to ask you just about your writing. What's your process? I mean, obviously you've written so much music, but when I listen to you tune like Bella from Pilgrim and the Stars, or even Ballerina from with the last one with Andrew and William, it's all tuned. Like, what's your process when writing? Like, what's your process when writing, when composing? How do you start usually? Like, I think melody is such a strong point for you. Like,
no, I go to the piano.
Okay.
When I need, I'm very lazy, so when I need some new tunes, I just go to the piano, I start maybe 2 chords, and then very rarely I have a melody in my head, maybe where I'm walking feet, and then I go back. No, I have to do it. I have to go to the piano, and then, except that when I was living in a beautiful place called Cinque Terre, I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, sure. It's amazing.
So I was in a very nice house, isolated. I had a nice piano. So at night, I could smoke a joint, then go have fun all night. And then I would write. I wrote so many tunes at the time. Now, where I live now, I don't have a piano. I have a
keyboard. Like keyboard, synthesizer,
keyboard,
electric. Yeah.
Which doesn't inspire me at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't have harmonics, you know. Because with the piano, maybe you play I don't say a chord. You play two notes, and then you listen to all the harmonics that give you a lot of idea. But with the keyboard, so
yeah, I know.
I in these last years, I wrote very little, very
Really?
little. In fact, every day I think, oh shit, I should write something new. But then I wrote so many things, and I had so many things from the past that I even don't remember. Maybe I recorded 30 years ago. So I say, wow, why don't I can use that? Because
yeah, sure.
or maybe I think that maybe we have inside a certain amount of tunes, but that's it. When you finish, you don't have any more. Maybe I don't have any more. Maybe that's it, you know.
Yeah, no, it's like I think I studied poetry also, and I think it was E. Cummings or Robert Greeley, or one of these famous American poets. He said, and it's the same for music. An artist will write 5 really good poems or compositions, and that's already a lot. Like really 5 really good ones.
Right. Yeah.
And there are exceptions.
5 is a lot.
It's a lot.
5 is a lot.
But yeah, so true. Yeah, interesting. Enrico, not to take too much of your time, I just wanted to ask you one thing. I mean, obviously, you started with ECM in the 70s with Abercrombie and that quartet, and then kind of, I think, a friend of mine bought, New York Days in 2009, and he was like, yeah, check out this record. I was like, sure, it's Enrico, he's done like tons of records. Like, how did you kind of reconnect with ECM, and especially that connection with the American musicians? How did that happen, like in the 2000s? I mean,
well, first of all, I stopped in 1982, I think, with ECM.
Yeah.
Because I had so many things I wanted to record, and Manfred, he wanted to make one record every year and a half, and for me it wasn't enough. So I didn't say anything, but I started to record also for somebody else. So he lost interest. So I did some very good things with the Label Bleu, the French. Particularly one that I think is one of my best records. It's called Carmen.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Carmen by Bizet.
Bizet, yeah.
Arranged by a fantastic guy in Italy, Bruno Tommaso, and I think it's one of my favorite records for sure.
Wow.
I play well. The arrangements are very good. So I was able to, to play Alan Miles in Sketches of Spain, of course, no, and it was very nice. But I recorded some live record at Montreal Festival for Label Bleu. Then I did some record for Black Saint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then I had this band that was really very, very good with one of the best bands I ever had with Gianluca. To me, he's a genius.
He's amazing.
I make a declaration. To me, he's the greatest musician that Italy ever used. Except that the way he is doesn't really help him a lot, So
I know we played one concert or two together in the past. Yeah, but he's amazing.
He's amazing. Just besides that, he played. It's fantastic because he has a lot of technique, but you never hear, you never listen to the technique. You don't feel that but he can play. And then he had the amazing ear. You hear like I never wrote an arrangement. I just bring a line, a melody, and he found the best. Immediately. Even even the most interesting note to put under yours. It is really amazing. But of course, he's not playing that much because he got a lot into the machine, the
electronics. Yeah.
And to me, it's a big pity because his thing is a trombone. We play one note, and that's it, because it's really have an amazing sound. And in fact, when a few years ago, with my quintet, with Gianluca, I invited Roswell. So Roswell came from the States, and we did the 2 or 3 concerts. And of course, Roswell immediately fell in love for Gianluca, and Gianluca for Roswell, but Gianluca was already a fan of Roswell. But they like so much each other. Then one day, I found them. We were in the country playing. We played somewhere. But it was a bush. They were in the bush together playing trombone with the birds. They were really. Gianluca is amazing. Anyway, I had this with Gianluca, Stefano Bollani, Rosario Bonacorso, which is a fantastic bass player, and Roberto Gatto, which is the #1. So this group we had a lot of concerts, everybody loved the band, everywhere. So somebody told Manfred, you know the Enrico? So he contacted me, said,
okay.
Would you record your new band? Yes, of course. I was very happy to go back. Also, because finally, I think he was right when he wanted to make only one record every year and a half. Because, of course, I did some record that I really like without SM. But I made also a lot of records that are totally useless. It's better to economize,
But it's documenting where you were at. I think it's also good in a way, right?
For instance, I have a record that is totally unknown, but I like him a lot. It's called Renaissance. It's for a Japanese record company, which is Venus. I don't know if you know them, Venus.
Yeah.
The guy was Tetsuo Hara.
Yeah.
We did this record with Stefano, Bollani, Rosario, Roberto. The record is called Renaissance. I really like it a lot. We played. Really, there is a lot of warmth. It sounds really like. Or I did like a record I like for philology with Liconi in Quartet.
Yeah.
Large Mur. This is a record I'm very happy
97, 98, 97, yeah.
It's something like that.
Yeah, it's a nice record. No, that one. Yeah, you and Lee also, beautiful, yeah, how you play together. I love that, yeah.
But, then why, for instance, Mark Turner, I knew what he was doing. I like him. First of all, because he's the only one that recalled me a little bit Warner Marsh.
Yeah.
One of my idols, Warner Marsh. The only young guy that really know who was Warner Marsh got something from him is Mark Turner. So he came to Italy to play some concert with my band, as a guest. And then I had to do a record for Manfred. We decided to make it in New York, and I decided to have Mark, Paul Motian.
Yeah, that's so beautiful to hear you with Paul, and that's so nice.
Paul,
amazing.
Paul is one of the first person I met in New York when I went in '67. I was a very, very, very good friend. We played a lot together because, for instance, we did a tour. We did a tour that finally we didn't record it. This was really a pity. The tour with Joe Henderson, myself, John Taylor, Furio di Castri, and Paul Motian.
Oh man!
We did Europe, and Black Saint wanted to record it, but then it was too expensive for them, so finally we didn't record it. And also then we did a tour that was like 1,000 with Steve Lacy, myself, Roswell Rad, Mal Waldron, Reggie Workman, Andrew Cyril. We play only monk music.
Wow.
Went to Belgium, Holland, Paris, and that too. I have some music. I have some tape of it, and there was somebody who was interested. But they are all live performances.
Wow.
And Roswell was so incredible.
Oh yeah, he was.
Because when we did the tour, he just came back from Mongolia, because he went to Mongolia and stayed in Mongolia 6 months, living with the tribe of Mongolian guy. He even made a record playing Mongolian music. Roswell Rad. When I was playing in his band, it's amazing because you remember who was Alan Lomax?
Yeah.
He was the ethnomusicologist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That created that label called Folkways.
Yeah.
They had a fantastic record of music for the Pygmy, the Burundi, from the American Indians. Yep. Roswell, for a certain time, was working for him. Was transcribing from tape, because Lomax had people going around the world recording, ethnic groups, and then Roswell would transcribe. But sometimes I was going to studio where he was working. He was doing really like that, incredible, no? And he knew so much about any kind of music, ethnic. In fact, with this band, we were playing a lot of tunes from the Hopi Indians, from the American Hopi. But he told me that the Hopi were the ones that had the best music in the Native American. And Roswell was and he was totally self-taught. He could write for an orchestra, traveling in the train, directly transcribed for
genius. Yeah.
But unfortunately, it was so masochistic, He always had a wife that destroyed him, So that's why he never got to what he could have really, because he was really genius, Roswell, but nobody knew about it. Like, for instance, I was talking about the guy who played trombone now with me, the young guy.
Yeah.
He never heard of him. I said,
really?
No.
Oh, man, come on.
Of course, now he went, I sent him to listen. But like that. But young people, I see even like Siena, the young musician, they don't know anything about.
No, I agree completely. Yeah, I agree.
Especially if you talk about New Orleans, they have no idea how big, how great was Armstrong. No? They have no idea. They never heard it. They big spider bamboo. They never know any Jerry Ron Morton, all this. For me, it's incredible. It's like a a classical player that like to play Bartok, but of course, if he doesn't know Bach, I would be very surprised.
Sure.
Instead, with jazz musicians,
it's many times. I led a workshop last year, and I had a group, and the drummer, he was really good, really incredible. And I asked him what he listens to, and he was like Jeff Ballard and Marcus Gilmore. I was like, yeah, great, but you know, have you checked out Paul Motian? And he was like, who? Like, man, Paul Motian. That's like,
I know.
you know, for Frankie Dunlop, whoever, like all Danny Richmond. Check out all these guys, Freddie Waits. You know, I don't know, like Jon Christensen, all the people you played with also. So you know, yeah.
That's the way.
But anyway, yeah. Enrico, just not to take more of your time. I mean, I could ask you questions for tons of time, but like, what's on your schedule for this year still? Are you planning also a new record with this new band also, or?
Yeah, I would like to. Yeah, I have to put some new music together. In fact, next in September, the beginning of September, we had one day of rehearsal, which is the first time I make a rehearsal with the band, because I never. And then we record some, and then I send it maybe to Manfred to see.
Super. Oh, wow.
Of course, he likes to listen to.
Fantastic.
I told him already that I had this band. I hope we record it because they are really good, I think.
Yeah. Sounds great.
The trombone player is really unbelievable. Technically, I couldn't believe it, you know. Besides how we play, but before last concert we played last week, before the sound check, he was just practicing. And what he was practicing, it was like, I couldn't believe it, you know. But then you go so high, like a trumpet, like a high note on a trumpet. I couldn't, you know. All of a sudden, I felt like to be like a troglodyte because those people, they're saying that those young guys, those new guys, even in America, no? Technically, they are just not to believe. And also, when I hear this music they play, like Steve Lehman and all this, you know, this
that's
impossible signature. You know, you will never understand what is done.
Yes, exactly.
Then I say, okay, but it doesn't touch me that much. I confess.
I know. Then we are where we started our talk, actually.
It doesn't touch me.
Yeah,
In fact,
I know.
if I was a young guy today, and the jazz around was that one, for sure I wouldn't be a jazz musician. Maybe I would, if I wanted to be a musician, I would turn into playing funky or something like that, or rock and roll, whatever. But not that thing so intellectual, so difficult, so you know. So I remember, but a few years ago, I was playing on the festival, Amiens. And my friend Dave Douglas was playing also with his band, and they were playing some very difficult music. I was with my friend Giovanni Tommaso, the bass player, which is one of the best.
Sure, I know.
We were listening to that tune. We were trying to figure out what kind of, you know. So I thought, okay, it's a 13/8. No. There was no way we could. At the end, I said, Dave, what the fuck? I know there was 11/8 and a half. You know, 11/8 and a half.
23, yeah, kind of, yeah.
There was something.
Yeah.
But the point is, that it doesn't sound good. It sounds like there is always somebody making a mistake. Somebody that miss a beat or something like that. But it's not. It's everything very right. And it's really unbelievable that they can improvise at these. Like they were playing in 4/4, but it's not 11, 8.5, Mercy.
Amazing, but yeah, beautiful. Man,
okay.
Enrico, I will leave you a nice afternoon so that you can relax. But thanks so much for Multimille Grazie for taking the time.
I'm happy finally I won against the technology.
You did.
I hate technology.
But thank you. Okay. Thanks again. Grazie so much.
Take care.
And stay strong. I hope to see you around. Ciao.
Ciao.